Alrighty, we're going to be replacing some outlets. Here in the country I was born in, we use 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare and the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a 110, 120 volt switch loop or in a 220, 240 volt appliance circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. Okay, the unscrewed outlet here, so we'll pull our outlet out of the wall here. And we have our wiring in here that's not done very well. We have our black wires on the brass screw, and they are not very good connections up here. And you never put two wires around one screw. That is not up to code. Okay, so I have to get a ground wire tail out here. I'm going to clip a piece off here. Beautiful. So your dad's going to get everything, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to just go grab all the stuff you need and everything. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. All good to go?
Okay.
Hey, can I do anything to help?
Yes, finding me a red wire cap. I found it.
We got a whole bunch of them in here.
Okay. So according to code, we're supposed to wire nut these ground wires together here. So open up this loop here. And we'll get our tail wire into here. We'll twist them all together here. We'll clip them so they're even here. And you know what, we can use a yellow wire nut on these because these are all lighter gauge wires. Nice and tight here. Okay, so now we'll get our blacks on this side and our whites over on this side. So we'll fold our wires so they go back into our box so they're out of the way of everything here. And we don't want our ground wires to be near the terminals. this nail because they nailed the box in through the middle of the box. So I'll just pull the ground wire down into this nail. Okay, so we'll open our loops back up. Alrighty. Okay. Let's get this ground wire back so that it doesn't touch the side of our terminals there. And we're going to put in our new outlet. This is protected by a GFI here because it's within 6 feet of the sink. Kind of think of it, I think that tester was over in your house somewhere and I just don't know where it is.
Okay. I'm gonna run down there for a minute, David. It wasn't upstairs yesterday when I went through everything, but I'm gonna go down. I gotta run in the basement and look for something, so I'll check and see if I see it.
Okay.
And we'll check it out. We'll see what we can find. I'll be back in like 2 minutes, David.
Okay. Okay, so we'll hook our outlet up. Here in the country I was born in, your black goes on the brass screw, which is the narrow slot. Your white goes on the silver screw, which is the wider slot, and your ground wire goes on the green screw. So we'll start with our white wires here. Put them on our silver colored screw. We'll make our loops the direction our screw turns here. I'm going to loosen that up. I'm going to pull forward so our copper's under the screw head all the way up. Make sure it's nice and tight. Get our second white wire here. I might need to make that a smidgen longer. Not a lot, but just a bit. Alright, get around our screw here. Our copper doesn't get under the screw head there. I pull forward on it some so our copper gets under the screw head all the way there. Okay. You don't like how insulation is getting caught a little bit there, so I'm going to loosen this up. Just going to pull forward a little bit here. I'll bend it over like that so it stays down where I want it. There it is. We got our copper under the screw head all the way around. Our insulation just comes up to the screw head, but not under it. And now we'll get our ground wire onto our green screw here. Okay, make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, now we'll flip it over this way and we'll get our black wires onto our brass colored screws here. Okay. Make sure it's nice and tight, and our copper is going to screw it all the way. Okay, insulation's going to get under our screw head a little bit, so I'm going to open my loop a little bit more. Close it, make sure the copper's not under the screw head here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure our insulation is not caught under our screw head here. I'll bring my flashlight down and look at it closely, because it's hard to see. Okay, our copper is not pinched under the screw head, so now I can push this back into our box. There's nails in here nailing this, they nailed this box in, so it makes it a lot harder to push the outlets in. But it's a joy, because you just don't let things like that bother you. Just doesn't help a bit. Okay, so if you have to force them, you just gotta force them, that's all. A little force is what you gotta do sometimes. It's not what I like, but it's what you gotta do. So it's what you gotta do. I don't like how it's forced, but you know what? There's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. And complaining does not help. No, it doesn't. So force it is. It's not what I like, but what you gotta do sometimes. It is what it is. I shaped it the best I can so that they don't split open on anything. I'll just look at it and make sure our ground wire is down away from our conductors and everything is the absolute best it can be. Okay, it's the best it can be. It's a little forced and shoved, but there's nothing I can do because there's nails through the side of the box. So I did the best I can, And we'll just stick our cover on here like this. So that is how to replace a painted up, worn out receptacle here in the country I was born in. Black wire goes on the brass screw, white goes on the silver screw, or if there's a red or a blue instead of the black, it will go on the brass screw, and the bare wire or the green wire will go on the ground screw.